Hi, this is Kimberly. Y'all, I just wanted to say I tried my best on this video. I truly did. But these riots going on across the nation have me somewhat unnerved and just feeling a little bit down, I guess. Much love and peace to you all. Today we will be talking about days 6, 7, and 8 of the Gannon Stauch case. This would be the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We will, of course, start with day 6, which was February 1st, 2020. So, the events of the Gannon Stauch case, starring 𝓤𝓲𝓼𝓲𝓽𝓵, the award-winning fake-ass tantrum-throwing drama actress betraying a loose cannon in an interrogation shit show. Interview that became a shit show, which premiered the previous day, January 31st. She was blabbing and slammed the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, claiming her rights had been violated. And all we saw was the back of her square Lego bobblehead, and she was just rambling and spewing verbal nonsense. I wanted to slap the shit out of her. This hullabaloo interview was dubbed as, quote, she went to purchase some underwear and things like that and was put in handcuffs, end quote. I'll link it in the description in case you missed it. When someone's behavior is an embarrassing disgrace, one will usually try their damnedest to make sure it doesn't make it onto Facebook or any of the other multitude of social media platforms. Then, upon waking the next day, it dawns on you that you have taken part in a shit show. You know, when you just barely open your eyes and you're like, oh, shit. But yeah, upon waking the next day, it dawns on you that you have taken part in a shit show, or rather created the shit show of your own doing. No one plans a shit show. It's a spontaneous screw-up as a result of being a dumb fuck. One can also be a moron, fucktard, half-wit, ass monkey, brain dead, dipshit, crazy bitch, stupid whore, and the like. While sometimes shit show is bigger than you, it can abruptly get out of control and end up going viral, and it splashes on everyone's Facebook. And, well done, it's now national news. Then you are screwed. It will never go away. Never, ever, ever, as 𝓤𝓲𝓼𝓲𝓽𝓵 said. And any attempts to fix your quandary will only result in making things worse. 𝓤𝓲, you're the dumbass that called the media. You oblivious, dense sack of shit. You are still being talked about, ridiculed, accused, the very thing you didn't want. The reason you wanted to speak out, to clear the air, set things straight, exaggerate how you were treated. You dumb bitch. You silly goose. Deb Minot, a spokeswoman for the agency, said she could not comment on 𝓤𝓲𝓼𝓲𝓽𝓵's claims, citing an ongoing investigation. They always use the ongoing investigation as a reason why they can't talk. She said I'm going to start doing that at home. She said the agency is trying to keep the focus on finding Gannon, not on 𝓤𝓲𝓼𝓲𝓼𝓲's statements to KKTV. So in other words, I don't mean to be rude, but fuck you and shut up. We will get back to this individual who has no redeeming qualities, trust me, but for now the timeline. Saturday, February 1st, 2020. This is the day the FBI joined in the search and investigation of 11-year-old Gannon Stauch, who just seemed to vanish into thin air. Stauch takes special medication, Lieutenant 𝓬𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓭 said, and authorities have been worried about the cold weather in the area. His safety is paramount to us, he said. No, it's not. Since when, Lieutenant? It was of casual and nonchalant considerations when he was first reported by his murderer as a runaway. 11 years old. Y'all should have been all over that shit. Quote, with the search, we are limited to daylight hours and weather conditions, but this is the investigation side that's being done 24 hours a day, so it is non-stop, end quote. Sheriff's Office spokeswoman Jackie Kirby said, quote, "He's very young, it's dark and cold outside, and we want to bring Gannon to safety," end quote, the sheriff said in a Facebook post. And you're the lead buffoon of this outfit? Because that was his status Monday evening, that he was very young, it's dark and cold outside, and that he needed to be brought to safety. It was like that Monday evening, you jackass. Never mind that he was already dead. No one except for the murderer knew that shit. Y'all took a casual approach to it. That pisses me off. But yeah, that was his status Monday evening, and it did not seem to matter then. But now that this case has received national attention and your prestigious agencies and the FBI are involved, this particular case seems to be tugging at your heartstrings. Shove off with that goddamn hogwash. This shit pisses me off. They seem to be mollifying the public with these statements and Twitter posts they would occasionally issue. Fuck out of here with that. Organizations involved in Saturday search were the Child Abduction Rapid Deployment, Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management, El Paso County Search and Rescue, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Colorado Springs Police Department, Fountain Police Department, the Salvation Army, voluntary organizations active in disaster, Army 4th Engineer Battalion in 100% non-duty volunteer status, National Guard 100th Missile Defense Brigade in 100% non-duty volunteer status, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the FBI got involved after the case was upgraded to Missing Endangered Child 2 days prior. The FBI team specializes in search and rescue and, quote, will be a good partner in the investigation, Lieutenant said. He's the head buffoon there in El Paso County. And Gannon's wicked stepmurder was keeping as low a profile as possible, since having spoken out against those that were, quote, demonizing her online, which incidentally went over like a lead balloon. She is just a piece of nothing, so low that you far exceed that of a piece of shit or a piece of anything, just to stay to being a piece of booger all nothingness. Zilch, pizza, forever and evermore, for all time, until hell freezes over, until kingdom come, until the fucking cows come home. On this Saturday, over 160 people came together to search for Gannon. The search continued in El Paso County and focused in the area of Lorson Ranch. The sheriff's office declined to explain if they found anything useful that day. It appeared they disliked being bothered from the public asking for updates. Well, excuse me. Excuse the fuck out of me. Land sakes alive, I didn't mean to bother you. Neighbors were helping their children show support for Gannon Stauch's family with heartfelt messages written on the sidewalk. The messages said things like, "We love you, come home, Gannon." Neighbors were hoping these words would welcome Gannon back. The sheriff's office said investigators were looking at, quote, persons of interest who might be able to give them additional information. If they wanted to uncover who committed the crime, I'd show them a person of interest. It was that female with the resting bitch aura that was on camera the day before, that matronly head of black hair that did an interview with KKTV. Her resting bitch persona was radiating all over the goddamn place. Even though we couldn't see her face, her arms were flailing wildly, and she just came across as being sarcastic, bitchy, cynical, and paranoid. I would venture to say that she was one of those, quote, persons of interest you were talking about for your criminal investigation. Everyone knew who made Gannon disappear, yet y'all were dragging your damn feet. It was quite vexing that she had not yet been arrested or formally accused of a crime. Little did we know it would be a few more weeks until that came about. God's sake, God Almighty, son. Moving ahead, This was stated in the arrest affidavit that the silver Nissan Altima rental car obtained by piece of shit's auntie, Brenda Acquard, was utilized by piece of shit from January 30th until February 1st, 2020. So apparently she returned the vehicle on this day. The other info I found from the arrest affidavit was that investigators applied for and were granted a search warrant for the Tiguan, which was seized from piece of shit at her interview. That one where her civil rights were violated. But the Tiguan was seized from piece of shit at her interview, towed to the El Paso Sheriff's Office evidence facility on or about February 1st, 2020. The FBI evidence response team finally got around to conducting a search in that car. Well, slow down, y'all. What's your hurry, Inspector Gadget? The forensic portion of the search revealed possible traces of blood on the rear of the vehicle, a rear passenger seat. Very interesting that. Front passenger seat in an area near the glove box based on luminol forensic latent bloodstain reagent tests. It seems to me that inability had some help. At least one, if not two other people. I wonder if 𝓬𝓲𝓷𝓭𝓵 is Peace's Mr. Wolf from Pulp Fiction. Remember him? He said, "I solve problems." Very, very interesting. My husband is our Mr. Wolf. He solves problems day and night for our family. Swabs from the trunk area were sent to the Metro Crime Laboratory for further analysis. These results revealed that a DNA profile could not be developed and that the swab from the trunk was negative for the presumptive presence of blood. So what the fuck does this mean? That 𝓬𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓭𝓵 is an expert at detailing vehicles? I'm starting to wonder, did she even place Gannon in the trunk, or was it the back seat, since there was blood found in the back seat? I don't know. We'll find out at trial, I think. The arrest affidavit reads, "To be clear, luminol is a chemical used to detect trace amounts of blood at crime scenes, and although I do not have a chemical or biology background, I have learned that luminol reacts with iron and hemoglobin found in blood." Am I the only one that thinks of forensic files on HLN every time they talk about luminol? When applied, luminol emits a blue glow when a reaction occurs. I'm also aware that there are things other than blood that could cause a reaction, such as other chemicals, and I do not submit that just because luminol reacts with a substance, that the substance must be blood, and only that there is a strong probability of suspected blood. The positive reaction to luminol is meant to be combined with other facts in this affidavit in support of probable cause. The search team found evidence of suspected blood on the rear bumper and a step plate of the rear bumper. The location of the blood is significant because this vehicle was backed into the garage at Piece of Shit's residence the day of Gannon's murder. It is noted the evidence of Gannon's blood based on DNA profile was also located on the floor of the garage, consistent with where the rear end of the Tiguan would have been, which would have probably been noticed had the deputies poked around a bit more that first night on the 27th, goddammit. The position of the reaction leads investigators to believe that blood was most likely in contact with the rear bumper of the Tiguan, and most reasonably while loading Gannon's remains in the trunk. Swabs from the exterior bumper have also been submitted to the Metro Crime Laboratory. However, the Metro Crime Lab did return a result of the trunk of the Tiguan that was negative for the presumptive presence of blood. So how is it that she placed Gannon in the trunk and there's no blood in the trunk? Am I understanding this correctly? I wonder, was he wrapped up? Or I know this sounds horrible, but wrapped up maybe before placed in the suitcase? I don't know. So does this mean that Almighty attempted to place Gannon in the trunk and perhaps he did not fit? And this is how blood got inside the car in the back seat, the front seat passenger, and the glove box? Within the Tiguan, a receipt from the dollar store was located, timestamped January 27, 2020 at 5:14 p.m. and documented the purchase of trash bags, baking soda, vinegar, and other incidental items. Why? Harley was in her own car, the Jetta. It's not really a big deal, but why? Why was the receipt found in Piece of Shit's car? Investigators believe that Harley purchased these items at the direction of Letecia based on a text message sent from 𝓤𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓭𝓵 cell phone to Harley's cell phone on January 27, 2020 at or about 4:52 p.m. The sheriff's office said they had received 110 tips to date and continued to vet and follow up each lead coming in. Moving along to Sunday, February 2nd, 2020, which is day 7. On this day, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and partners continued their search, focused in the area of a 5-mile radius around the Stauch residence in 𝓬𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓭𝓵 Ranch in El Paso County. At approximately 2 p.m. on this day, the decision was made by the El Paso County Sheriff's Office to relocate the incident command to the Sheriff's Office training facility located across the street from the El Paso County Jail, located at 2743 East Las Vegas Street, based on information gathered from the investigation. This is approximately 6 or 7 miles away from Gannon's neighborhood, where an extensive search was going on. They said the move was because their investigation led them to the area. They said there were over 50 people assisting in the search efforts and would continue as long as there was daylight. Well, yeah, 'cause it's all scary and shit when it gets dark, right? Even for grown-ups. Imagine how a little 90-pound boy would feel. However, I imagine by now they had figured out that poor G-Man Little Boy Blue Gannon was no longer alive. Community members gathered outside of Grand Mountain School in Colorado Springs to get the word out for the missing 11-year-old Gannon Stauch. They created blue Praying for Gannon window stickers and blue ribbons to raise awareness. One volunteer said, quote, "We were up till midnight last night working on these stickers, and all I kept telling myself was there were people out till 3 a.m. looking for him. There's people out every day looking for him. This is the least that we can do," end quote. Bless her heart, there were so many good-hearted people looking for Gannon. They were decorating the neighborhood, passing out blue light bulbs, just anything they could do to help and help make the children feel a little bit better. Can you imagine? They didn't know if there was some psycho killer on the loose, or, well, there was a psycho killer on the loose. 𝓤𝓲𝓼𝓲𝓽𝓵. However, it seems like a very nice community. Monday, February 3rd. On this day, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and partners continued the search focused in the area of 2743 East Las Vegas Street. At approximately 2 p.m., the search in this area was completed. They were continuing to explore specific areas based on tips and leads. The search then moved west of 𝓬𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓭𝓵 Ranch towards the 𝓬𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓵 Valley area. Crews were seen on horses riding along Fountain Creek. In the past 3 days, they had over 2,400 hours of manpower put into the search effort for Gannon. This included the assistance of their mounted unit, the horses that were searching, search and rescue canines, and aerial coverage with drone operators. Quote, "The investigation determined we should probably relocate from our broad area to a more localized, smaller area," end quote, said Jacqueline Kirby, the media relations manager for the sheriff's office. Quote, "We felt it was prudent to be where we were actually searching." That makes no sense, Miss Kirby. Sorry, but what the fuck are you saying? Quote, "We're going to go where the leads and the tips take us," Kirby said. That makes sense. As temperatures in southern Colorado plummet, the sheriff's office said it would delay detectives on the ground. Quote, "You're not going to see the large effort you saw this weekend because we've narrowed that down in the last couple of days, but that doesn't mean no work is being done. This case is being worked 24 hours a day," end quote, Kirby said. So yeah, at this point they had determined that G-Man Gannon was probably deceased. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office told ABC News on Monday that the search for Gannon would continue as long as conditions allowed. A snowstorm was hitting the state, and accumulation in the area was expected to reach up to 6 inches, according to local forecasts. Several news stations obtained a copy of evidence that came from a neighbor's surveillance camera. They all claim they decided to honor a request from El Paso County Sheriff's Office not to describe or show it, yet to ensure that the investigation would not be compromised. But that shit didn't last long, as we all know. A neighbor told News 5 he handed over a, quote, key piece of evidence to investigators. They said they would not release the details as that would compromise the ongoing investigation. Neighbor Roderick Drayton said he started doing some investigation of his own after Gannon mysteriously vanished. He found footage on his home security system that reportedly showed Gannon with his stepmother on the day he disappeared. Mr. Drayton said, quote, I couldn't sleep, so I just stayed up and I started looking through surveillance footage. I looked through on my tablet and then said, let me look on my TV to be sure, end quote. He looked on his tablet and then the TV. I know how that goes. He went down the damn rabbit hole. One night I did that and I think I surfed the entire internet. I'm not kidding, y'all. Mr. Drayton's home surveillance video showed a driver and a passenger getting into a truck on the day Gannon went missing, and only one person returned hours later. Quote, this is something the investigators are looking into, and it would be part of our investigation, end quote, Miss Kirby said from the El Paso Sheriff's Office. Drayton took the footage to Stauch's father, who immediately called detectives. Quote, he just broke down crying, Drayton said. In reference to the speculation that had been circulating online, a spokeswoman for the sheriff's office said, again it was reiterated by the sheriff's office that misinformation spread on social media has been an absolute hindrance to this case. Weeks later, after Gannon's body was found, persons were asked to come forward if they recalled seeing piece of shit in Pace or Pensacola, Florida between February 3rd and the 5th. Thousands joined Find Gannon Stauch Facebook pages over the week, filling pages upon pages with speculation about what happened to Gannon. There were some really wild stories. Piece of shit Stauch told KKTV on Friday that she's received numerous death threats. Well, good, and I hope they keep coming in. The reason you're getting death threats is because you were a child-abusing murderer. That's gonna happen when you do shit like that, you useless, trifling, fake-ass liar bitch. Piece of shit Stauch reiterated that she and her family have been involved in the searches for Gannon, despite Facebook users claiming she's been quote-unquote missing. She was missing. Creeping around, running around like a damn cockroach. Damn disgusting, vile, vulgar. Though officials didn't specifically address any rumors, Piece of Shit Grouch responded to online comments vilifying her in the interview with CBS affiliate KKTV. As a reminder, Chatty was blabbing in her interview on the Friday before, quote, I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home. I would never, ever hurt this child. And I know there are some questions out there. That's up to the investigations. When they end up letting you guys know, but I've cooperated with them, end quote. Bullshit. Then she said, we're gonna find Gannon, and that's the main goal that we all have, and I'm just ready for Gannon to come home, end quote. I guess she picked up Gannon from where she had hidden him and hightailed it out of there after her interview, which is exactly why investigators are asking if anybody saw her in Pace or Pensacola, Florida on February 3rd through the 5th. And as a reminder, we are now talking about February 3rd. The 8th day of this case, the Gannon Stauch case. 7 days after his disappearance, investigators from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and the Metro Crime Lab team arrived at the Stauch residence on Monday afternoon and spent several hours inside. According to Nicole Fierro with KDVR News, the team entered the house, quote, with gloves and tools and left with several evidence bags, end quote. It's unclear at this time what items of interest were taken from the home. Quote, there's a lot being done behind the scenes, especially on the investigative side, end quote, said Jacqueline Kirby with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, always making her little PC soundbite quotes, bullshit statements. to try and keep people appeased. Bullshit announcement. Anyway, excuse me. There were no dates indicated on some of the paragraphs in the arrest affidavit for what the search and investigation inside the house revealed, so I'm going to just talk about it here as stated in the arrest affidavit. It's not necessarily correlating with the day that I'm covering here, which is Monday, February 3rd, the 8th day, or... The forensic searches were conducted by the Colorado Springs Metro Crime Lab. To avoid confusion, the January 28, 2020 initial search was authorized by Mr. Stauch, and he provided consent to search the residence. Not all of the evidence is included in the arrest affidavit. However, the forensic testing results of several items, including a pair of 8.5 Nike shoes. The affidavit reveals the work being done by investigators behind the scenes shows that immorality tried to deceive them multiple times, including concocting a fictional story about an alleged rape inside her home, resulting in the rapist abducting Gannon. Investigators searched the Stauch residence several times over several weeks after applying for and being granted search warrants. The purpose of these searches was to collect evidence, including biological evidence in support of the investigation. By way of background, the residence is located at 6627 Mandan Drive, Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's a ranch-style single-family home, approximately 2,500 square feet, with a 2-car attached garage. There are 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms in the residence. 2 of those bedrooms are in the basement, including Gannon's. Next to Gannon's room, there's an unfinished utility room, and on the other side of the basement is another bedroom and a bathroom. I believe that to be Harley's room. There's a staircase with a small landing that allows access from the main level to the basement, and the garage is accessible from inside the residence. Gannon's remaining family members were living in the residence during the period of these searches, and investigators did not initially seal the residence off. Yes, I thought that was really odd, that the family was still allowed to live there in the house while they were supposedly doing a crime scene investigation. Crime scene analysis from the Colorado Springs Metro Crime Lab responded to the residence and found traces of blood throughout the residence based on Blue Star forensic latent bloodstain reagent tests. Again, HLN forensic files. There was visible blood in Gannon's bedroom, in the garage, and other portions of the house. Blue Star forensic stain has similar limitations to luminol. The Blue Star reagent was applied to Gannon's bedroom, the hallway leading to the utility room from his bedroom, the utility room itself, the staircase, and the landing leading upstairs from the utility room. The pathway to the garage from the stairs and the garage area itself. In all of these areas, investigators found positive results for the likely presence of blood. There was Blue Star reaction at the base of the stairs and in the garage at the Stauch residence. Specifically, in Gannon's bedroom, in a corner of the room, investigators located an area where suspected blood had seeped through the carpet pad, and stained the concrete. Furthermore, there was also blood stain and projected blood splatter located on the walls in this area of the bedroom. Indeed, over 50 droplets of suspected blood were found on the walls near Gannon's bed. This is, without a doubt, the place where Gannon Stauch, our G-Man, Little Boy Blue, where his precious life came to a violent end at the hands of his step-martyr. Crime scene investigators also suspected some low-life flea bag attempted to clean the walls based on the way the Blue Star reagent reacted on the wall. Gannon's mattress was also seized and contains a red stain consistent with blood in the same area as the stain on the carpet and the blood cast off on the walls. The stains on the mattress were swabbed but were not tested with Blue Star reagent. The laboratory results have not yet been returned, but because other blood in the area was determined to be Gannon's blood, investigators suspect the blood on the mattress is also Gannon's. Excluded were the crime scene photographs that include the wall next to Gannon's bed and the carpet pad that was removed by investigators to expose the concrete below. Based on the orientation of Gannon's bed, the vast majority of the blood would be in line with the position of his head and torso and consistent with the stain on the mattress. The blood located in Gannon's room appears to be cleaned up, well, as best as a piece of shit can do. Based on residual blood residue on the baseboards, an electrical outlet cover, and the blood that soaked through the carpet. DNA laboratory testing has confirmed it was indeed Gannon's blood, reasonably indicating this was likely the scene of Gannon's murder. I despise that batshit crazy bitch. Investigators have requested, but have not yet received, a report from Tom Griffin, who is an International Association for Identification Certified Senior Crime Scene Analyst, a bloodstain pattern analyst, and a crime scene reconstructionist. Mr. Griffin examined the blood spatter on Gannon's walls. Mr. Griffin preliminary reported that the stains on the walls are consistent with one or more blood spatters producing events, which could include gunshot, blunt force, or a stabbing. Mr. Griffin did not believe the blood stains were aspirated blood, primarily due to the lack of air bubbles in the stains. Furthermore, the shape of the stains were affected by the surface texture of the drywall itself. The final report from Mr. Griffin has not yet been received and is pending a peer review. Trace evidence swabs of suspected blood were obtained from the electrical socket next to Gannon's bed. These swabs revealed the blood was indeed Gannon's blood, based on DNA profile testing. The electrical socket also has evidence of streak marks, which are reasonably suspected to be from piece of shit's attempted cleaning. When the investigators removed the outlet cover, a visible red stain was present, outlining its edges. The presence of this stain tends to support there was enough blood around the outlet cover to seep around its edges, leaving a visible outline. There is also a photograph of the suspected blood stain in the concrete located in the corner of the bedroom where Gannon's body was positioned. This stain is also visible in the photo depicting the suspected blood splatter on the walls. The carport above this stain in the concrete was clean, and the investigators suspect piece of shit cleaned the area based on carpet fibers on scrub brushes, the acquisition of carpet cleaning supplies, vinegar, and baking soda. 6627 Manton Drive was a new construction build, and the Stauch family was the only family to reside in this residence, which piece of shit single-handedly destroyed as she immersed herself in an utter state of destruction and rage caused by who knows what. But she took it out on Gannon, our little boy Blue, G-Man Gannon. If she was tired of her life situation, all she had to do was tell Al, "I'm done, I'm out. Soon as you get back, I'm gone." Simple as that. You could have done it before he left. His mother was there visiting. Perhaps she could have stayed longer. Dumb bitch. Look where your stupid fucking ass is now. I thought you wanted to be a flight attendant. Maybe you would have been by now, living in Miami. Fuck better place than where you're at now. And oh my God, that was heavy. Why did this cod-swallop stupid bitch face have to be so cruel, heartless, and savage? I wish she was just visiting this planet. Piece of shit didn't do anything with her life besides taking the role of step bitch and then making everybody else's life a living hell. I'm over her. Not as in over the moon, mind you. La piece of shit grouches, rotten, evil, absurd, and pointless. Bitch has depleted my energy. Oh, sorry, I wanted to end on a positive note. Please stay tuned for some news reports from the days I covered, February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, of the Gannon Stauch case. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Much love and peace. Thank you for listening.
Continuing coverage now of the search for Gannon Stauch. The 11-year-old has been missing since Monday. News 5's Allison Zimmerman shows us how neighbors in 𝓤𝓲𝓼𝓲 are making sure that kids have a way of showing their support.
Neighbors say 𝓤𝓲𝓼𝓲 is a family-friendly place, but since Gannon Stauch's disappearance,
I guess a lot of worry.
It's changed the mood here.
Because we just want him home. Like, I don't even know him personally, and my heart is shattered from all of this.
And as the search continues, parents want to make sure Gannon's classmates and their kids are getting the support they need.
That the kids are also going through this just as much as the adults are going through this.
These kids went to school with him, so just trying to help them cope too.
We really want Gannon to come home.
Dozens of neighbors flocked to the sidewalk outside of the neighborhood with messages and pictures for Gannon.
We wrote, "We love you and come home, Gannon."
As many families say, it's something that hits too close to home.
That has been my thought. What if that was one of my girls? I would want the community to come together.
Giving everyone a way to show their support as neighbors pray for the best.
I'm a complete stranger to you, Gannon. But it feels like you're my kid. So, come home, baby.
A pop-up command post covered in support. Law enforcement, search and rescue crews, volunteers putting boots on the ground to find 11-year-old Gannon Stauch. Canines and horses brought in for the effort. Kids and parents continue along the sidewalks.
He's just been missing for a week now, and I'm really scared.
9-year-old 𝓲𝓲𝓷𝓭𝓵 chalked a message of support for her classmate Gannon.
I wrote, "Gannon, please come home."
Then got on her knees in front of this sign.
I prayed for him.
Praying next to a woman who spent hours doing the same, to the point that she had to start stretching out her legs.
It's absolutely amazing what this community has done.
Many don't know Gannon, but can put themselves in his family's shoes.
Once we leave from here, we're going to go out and join a search party and do our part as family, because I would want somebody to search for my child if my child was missing.
Relatives posted on social media asking for a multi-state foot search tomorrow. We asked them about it in the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office says they'll speak with us later tonight.
The desperate search underway for a missing child in Colorado. Here's ABC's 𝓿𝓲𝓼𝓲𝓽𝓵.
I'm begging, bring my baby home.
Tonight, a Colorado family in anguish. It's been 6 days since 11-year-old Gannon Stauch disappeared.
It's so hard to just think, why is this happening to him?
Officials say they're taking extraordinary steps in the desperate search for the boy. Gannon requires special medication, so concern for his health quickly heightened the urgency to find him.
The case was upgraded from a runaway to an endangered missing child based upon the information gleaned from the investigation so far.
But authorities are working with few clues. His stepmother telling KKTV she was the last person who saw Gannon as he left home Monday afternoon to go play at a friend's house nearby.
I would never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations, but I've cooperated with them.
The FBI now aiding the investigation, while volunteers assist in the search.
I came out my front door, I think it was Tuesday, and there was 300 people out there searching my neighborhood. It blew me away.
Tom, Gannon's mother calls her son her hero. She says when he was born, he weighed less than 2 pounds and was given just a 10% chance of survival. His strength is now giving this family hope.
It's been nearly a week since anyone has seen 11-year-old Gannon Stauch.
I have hope. So please have hope with me. I'm begging, bring my baby home.
Days since his parents stood in front of cameras asking strangers for help. The public was quick to answer their call. A quick search of Gannon's name on Facebook brings up a lot of groups created specifically to discuss his disappearance. But not all of the conversations are helpful.
Every rumor, every thought, everything somebody thinks they heard, they saw, it takes away from our ability to vet credible tips and find Gannon.
Jacqueline Kirby, a spokesperson with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, says its investigators have spent a lot of time chasing empty leads because of tips that weren't credible.
We have to look at everything that is being put out about that case, and that includes social media.
Pages created for the very reason of speculating about Gannon's case. words that can serve as more of a distraction.
Every false narrative definitely takes away from that timeliness of investigating real credible tips.
𝓷𝓼𝓵 says investigators know not every tip will turn up results, but one could eventually give them a break in the case.
We will follow up with every tip and every lead that comes into our office because we owe the family that, we owe Gannon that, we owe the investigation that.
The El Paso County Sheriff's Office says it moved its incident command location, basically home base for their search operation. The department says it did that because of new information received earlier today, but the department spokeswoman wouldn't elaborate on exactly what that information was. Steve.
What's fascinating here, Jordan, is that they're saying basically it doesn't have to be a tip that's even called into them, that anything they're monitoring on social media that might seem like information, they still have to investigate.
Basically, anything that they think might produce results is something they're going to follow until it doesn't or it does, Steve.
So stop spreading rumors and send credible tips.
Exactly. It's slowing them down.
Jordan Chavez, thank you.
The search for an 11-year-old boy in Colorado missing for a week now. His family says he needs special medication and that there's now a storm coming. Here's ABC's Clayton Sandell.
Tonight, the FBI is assisting multiple agencies and volunteers, all searching for 11-year-old Gannon Stauch, who vanished 7 days ago from Colorado Springs.
I'm begging, I'm pleading, if anybody has any type of lead, put yourself in my situation.
Adding to the urgency, Gannon's emotional mother says the boy, who is 4 foot 9 inches and 90 pounds, requires special medication.
My child was a 1 pound 6 ounce baby. He had a 10% chance of survival.
The boy's stepmother was the last person to see him, telling KKTV that Gannon planned to walk to a friend's house.
I would never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there.
Tonight, with more questions than answers, Gannon's parents are asking everyone to keep a close eye out for their son.
And Daddy loves you so much. Please come home.
And David, authorities say they are now searching a new area about 10 miles from where Gannon vanished. But you can see it is snowing here in Colorado, and that is going to complicate the search.
Happening now, the search for missing 11-year-old Gannon Stauch continues.
Yeah, today, 1 week now since he was last seen at his home south of the Springs. His stepmom said he left for a friend's house in the 𝓿𝓲𝓼𝓲𝓽𝓵 Ranch neighborhood, has not been seen or heard from since. The Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit is leading this investigation. The Metro Crime Lab spent a lot of time at the Stauch home today, although we do not know what evidence, if any, was taken.
We need to let the investigators do their work and take them where the tips and the leads take them, and we'll see what unfolds and what led up to this.
Meantime, the blue ribbons and blue lights have been put up across that neighborhood, along with a huge sign at the entrance with the words, "Pray for Gannon."
Jeremy and 𝓿𝓲𝓷𝓭𝓵, the evidence comes from a neighbor's surveillance camera. Police have asked us not to discuss it or show you this video just yet because it's part of their investigation. And to make sure we do nothing to compromise Gannon's search, we will abide by that. But let me just tell you this. We've been out here outside of Gannon's home staking it all day, and just a few hours ago, a crimes team came with gloves, stayed for hours, and recently left with bags of evidence. As the search continues for 11-year-old Gannon Stauch, investigations center around the home he was last seen leaving. On day 7 of his disappearance, investigators walk inside with gloves, leaving with evidence bags bigger and bigger with each trip to the Metro Crime Lab van.
There's a lot being done behind the scenes, especially from the investigative side.
A few doors down, neighbor Roderick Drayton's doing some investigations of his own.
Couldn't sleep, so I just stayed up and just kind of kept looking through. I looked through it on my tablet. Then I said, let me come look on the TV to make sure.
What he found, police have asked us not to share yet.
This is something that the detectives are looking into, and it would be considered part of our investigation.
First thing in the morning I got up, I went and showed Gannon's father, and then they called investigators.
What did Gannon's father say? What was his reaction?
He just broke down crying.
Drayton says detectives were moved by the footage too.
They came right away.
Oh, wow. Did they say anything?
It's the break they needed.
Do you feel that you're getting closer to answers?
You know, I don't have that answer. I don't know. Yeah. But I can say that this is being worked tirelessly and 24 hours a day, and we're not going to stop.
We saw them hard at work here just a little while ago, and everyone's really just hoping to get Gannon home. As soon as we get the green light to show you that video from the Sheriff's Office, we will right away. Again, we do not want to compromise anything in this timely investigation.
Police also want you to send any tips you have to them directly. Do not send it through Facebook. And they have that number for the tip line on our website, kdvr.com. Reporting live in El Paso County, Nicole Fierro, Fox 31.
Yeah, we just
He's been doing everything he can to help.
I mean, we don't know exactly what happened, so it's like we're looking through our cameras trying to see, if we could pick up anything.
He says investigators spent several hours at his home looking through the video.
They came and they were just looking through the video, trying to see if our camera caught, any movement or anything suspicious. So they're just going through all our video for about, 6-7 hours of video.
The El Paso County Sheriff's Office is asking all the neighbors to keep an eye out.
People in and around 𝓬𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓭𝓵 to be mindful of what is on their property.